first hand saw you talk about the whole incident wherein you cut off your leg. You just said that I'm just a normal soldier.
I did not hack off my leg. My leg was hanging by flesh. It was disgusting to look at. I just had to sever it. Ever since we got independence, it has been a journey. Our ambitions and our aims were fragmented by partition and followed by war, the Indo-Pak War. Thereafter, we were followed by 4 more wars. So it appears that people,
What the Pakistani army really is.
Pakistan, unfortunately, is an Islamic fundamental state. And any country which bases its policies, its procedures, its strategy, its vision on religion is not going to do well. As far as religion is concerned, I as a Christian on a Sunday go first to the mandir because that is the religion of my men. And then I go to my church because that is my personal faith. But we are all one. There is no differentiation whatsoever. The army is an example which the country needs to look at. Armies of the West or the East are nowhere a patch on the professional competence, attitude, behavior and conduct of the Indian soldier and the Indian army officer. I think nobody in this country has any doubt that the Agnipath Scheme is a disaster. It is the last nail in the coffin of the progress of this army. Sam Manekshaw has said anybody who says he's not afraid is either a liar or a Gurkha. And they are very kind to old people, to children, to animals. But in war, they are a different breed altogether. Life has to be an adventure. National Defense Academy. That's for me. That's what I went.
Namaste Jai Hind, my name is Jayesh Gangan and this is The J Report, a podcast for all your intellectual curiosities. On tonight's podcast, my guest is Major General Ian Cardozo. I don't really need to introduce him because he is considered to be a legend of Indian Army. Major General Ian Cardozo is the first war disabled of the Indian Army who commanded a battalion and also a brigade. This podcast for sure will inspire you because Major General Ian Cardozo's story is that good. This conversation is mostly about Major General Ian Cardozo's life, but also about Pakistan and the mentality that Pakistan has. Apart from this, we also talk about the Agniveer scheme of Indian Army, and we take Major General Ian Cardozo's opinion on that. Currently, the situation between India and Pakistan is volatile, and what is going to happen, that is up to future. We don't know yet. But this podcast will give you a good idea of what has happened in the past, and from that, you can trace the future. So, without any further ado, let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Major General Ian Cardozo, sir, you're welcome on the show. It's an honor to host you, to meet you. This is the second time that we are meeting. First time it was at Tata Literature Festival, and today I have this privilege to have a conversation with you one on one. So I'm just too happy, and this was a dream for me for a long time, and now that it's true. Sir, welcome on the show, firstly.
Thank you so much, Jayesh. I hope we meet again
Yeah,
and again.
definitely, sir.
Yeah.
So, first thing I really want to ask you, off the camera, I asked you what is your age. You just told me that you turned 88, and I really want to understand when you have seen so much of history and had a such a huge career, such a long career with the Indian Army. Today, when you look at India and you look at all your days in the past, what do you think of India, of the present India?
Ever since we got independence, it has been a journey. Based on our past, we were hoping for peaceful development, but that was not to be. The, our ambitions and our aims were fragmented by partition and followed by war, the Indo-Pak War of 1947-48. That is a very long war, over a year. Thereafter, we were followed by 4 more wars. So it appears that people do not want India to move forward. In my opinion, I look at this not only from our neighbors, but even the West.
Right.
Nobody wants to see India doing well. We need to be cognizant of this and we need to be independent. We need to have a vision. I don't know whether that exists. We need to have a vision. What will India be 10 years down the line, politically, economically, socially, technologically? We need to have that vision. Unfortunately, it appears to me, I hope, maybe I'm wrong, that we only react to situations. And whatever we are doing today is bits and pieces. We need to have a total overall view of, as I explained earlier, and then work out a strategy, work out an infrastructure, work out a plan, work out aims, objectives, procedures, policies, and activities. Maybe as a soldier, I don't see things as a politician does. But as a citizen of this country, I think we can do better.
So, if I'm not mistaken, your birth year is 1938,
1937.
37.
So I'm 87 now, going on 88.
When you joined the Indian Army, you still had leaders in the army who had taken part in, say, World War II, and they had worked with their Pakistani participants. And because it was one India back then, after the partition, the army also got divided. So, what were the conversations like with them? How did they explain to you what the Pakistani army really is?
See, when partition took place, nobody had any idea in what direction Pakistan would go. So, Pakistan, unfortunately, is an Islamic fundamental state. And any country which bases its policies, its procedures, its strategy, its vision on religion is not going to do well. Today, Pakistan is a basket case only because it is based on religion. No country should ever, whatever type of government it has, should base it on religion because religion has nothing to do with development. Religion, in my opinion, is a personal issue. People should be allowed to. India is a spiritual country.
Yeah.
Every, and we believe that every faith has its own pathway to God. Let it be that way. It should not have any influence in politics. The Uniform Civil Code, in my opinion, which has been introduced lately, is a good thing.
Why is that?
It is good because everyone, every citizen of this country, whatever faith you belong to, has to believe that you have to put country first. Yes, your religion, you may put it first, but that's your personal issue. As far as the country is concerned, country should always come first. And therefore, a uniform civil code puts everybody on the same level platform. If you want to live in India, then you need to live in a system which is based on a consensus of all people, irrespective of their faith. We need to make India not the most powerful country in the world, not the richest country in the world, but the happiest country in the world. And that means you got to think and put your thoughts together. The army believes in a principle of war called cooperation. So cooperation is the answer to all our problems, not dissent and violence.
But so, with all due respect, even a powerful democracy like the America, whenever the president is elected, even he or she over there, they take their oath on a Bible. So how do we differentiate that thing, right? That the nation is different and the religion is different.
See, I don't think we should hold America as an example of being. It may be a great country, but it is not a country which is exemplary. It has interfered with every country in the world, I don't think we should keep America as an example to follow. We have got the right attitude, we have the right system. We take our oath on the Constitution of India or according to the religion that you belong to. That's okay. That's not. We are doing the right thing. Why are you holding America as an example to us? I don't think it is a country we should follow. They have interfered in every country in the world, the latest being Bangladesh, and the next target probably is going to be India. They are interfering in, they are the cause of the Ukraine war. They are causing problems in Gaza. So where have they not caused problems? Iraq, Israel, Lebanon, Gaza, Ukraine. So I don't think we should hold.
I guess America is the headache of the world.
Yes, it is.
Okay. But then, sir, because we are talking about religion, a lot of people these days talk about religion specifically in India because it has become a political bullet, right? Every politician, be it on the left side, be it on the right side, they'll bring in either Islam or Hinduism, and they'll speak Hinduism, Hindus are in danger. On the other side, they'll speak Islam or Muslims are in danger. So, what are we becoming as a nation then?
I spoke earlier that Pakistan is a basket case because it is based its development on religion. We should not follow Pakistan example.
Do you think we are following that or we are becoming that?
I hope not, because India is a very resilient country. It has people who don't believe in religion, who believe in development, who believe in cooperation, who believe in. See, follow the army. In the army, I don't bother about, I never think about a person who's of a different faith.
Right.
We are all one. We are a team. We've got one objective, and that is victory in war. And that is what we, as far as religion is concerned, I, as a Christian, on a Sunday, go first to the mandir because that is the religion of my men. And then I go to my church because that is my personal faith. So when we go to war, the person who's supporting me on my right or my left may be a Muslim, may be a Hindu, may be a Christian, may be a Parsi, may be a Sikh, but we are all one. There is no differentiation whatsoever. And in some units of mixed faith, we have what is known as a dharamstal, where the church, the girjagar, the gurdwara, the mandir, the masjid are all together. So the army is an example which the country needs to look at. Unfortunately, politicians are causing problems, which I think people understand. Without having to say it, I think every citizen of this country knows as to what is causing problems in the country today. And I, as an optimist, as an army officer, am quite convinced that India will be stable. India is a secular country. It will remain secular. And people will have the right attitude and we will move together towards
Right.
to being a great, happy country.
So I personally have this one fear, and you are the right person, I think, to talk about this, wherein I feel whatever is happening politically in India, which is the Hindu-Muslim divide or the majority-minority divide, if that comes in to the army, because army is a place where a Muslim would have the back of a Hindu, a Christian would have the back of a Hindu would have the back of a Muslim, a Parsi, a Christian, a Punjabi, everyone. And if this divide comes over there, who will fight for whom?
See, this is a political issue, and I am a soldier. I'm not a politician. What you have said is what I've already said, that the only aim of the army, because we have a very ethical army, we believe in the morality of war. We believe that our cause, what we fight for, is always just, and there's no difference whatsoever as far as religion is concerned. As to whether the army and the armed forces are being politicized. I am no one to comment in the sense that I retired 30 years ago. People are saying that this is happening. I don't know. I hope not. And I don't think it will happen. The Army, Navy, and Air Force are above all these matters. We are apolitical. We have only one aim in life, and that is to protect our country. The security of the country is our only aim. So I don't think this will happen. If it is happening, it is not good. It should not happen. And I think the armed forces is above all that.
Right. So, what is your opinion about the whole Agnipath scheme?
See, this comes down to a common denominator of what I feel has happened ever since independence. And that is, we are always in denial.
Denial of?
Denial of what is the truth. We don't look at the problem. If there's a problem, we need to find a solution. We should accept mistakes, because if you don't accept a mistake, you will make the same mistake again and again. Therefore, brushing an issue under the carpet is going to cause more problems. So, I think nobody in this country has any doubt that the Agnipath scheme is a disaster. It is the last nail in the coffin of the progress of this army. The Indian armed forces were the only armed forces in the world which was above all this. Now, thanks to our attitude to look at America, to look at Russia, to look at the UK, these are all countries which are following this Agnipath scheme. We were better than all of them. The armies of the West or the East or anywhere in the world are nowhere a patch on the professional competence, attitude, behavior, and conduct of the Indian soldier and the Indian army officer. Now you're going to reduce that to a period of 4 years. Who is going to stick his neck out in a future battle?
Right.
If he's only got to serve for 4 years, not get a pension. When you decide on something, you can't decide on something autocratically. You need to have a consensus. You should have discussed this matter. It was never discussed. So, look at what happened when the Ukraine war started. There was a parallel army in Russia made of people who were like these Agnipathis. And they had to be sorted out before the war could proceed on its course. You are going to produce a rival force in this country which will be working against the country, because they're not interested in the country if they're not going to be paid, if they're not, their interests are not going to be looked at. You are going to create of forces which are inimical to the development of India.
I don't know who is advising the government on military issues, because when you look at the whole Agnipath scheme, at one hand, you are saying that we will only recruit 22,000 out of all the people that come in, and the people who get rejected, they won't even get a position, let's say in BSF or the CRPF. The police has said that they won't accept the rejects of the Indian army. And at the same time, when the government has an unemployment issue, this is creating even more chaos. So how do you deal with this now that the problem has been created? And Indian army was one institution which had no issues since independence. It has been running so smoothly and perfectly well. So why do any changes in that?
I have nothing to add to what you said. You are saying absolutely the truth. This is what it is. So who will solve the problem? The problem has to be solved by the politician. He has created the problem. He must accept that there is a problem. He must accept that the fact that it is not good. Why can't we accept a mistake? Any institution or any individual who does not accept his mistake is asking for trouble. We are asking for big trouble.
Do you think this will get resolved in our lifetimes now?
No. I don't think we should talk about lifetimes. I think it should be resolved within soon. Sooner the better. I think good sense will prevail. I think the government has already understood that there is a big mistake. They have to take it to its rightful conclusion. and scrap the scheme and revert to what was. You have to accept, unless you accept your mistakes, you cannot move forward. We are in denial.
Right. So, what is your first memory of Indian Army?
Fondest memory.
First memory, the first time that when you thought that this is one place where I want to go, I want to work with the army.
See, as I was mentioning, I just did a year in college, but when I was in college, I felt, rightly or wrongly, that life has to be an adventure. Life is not a collection of years. It is what you put into the years that makes your life worthwhile. And I felt at that time, I was looking at people going to the same office every day, seeing the same people, doing the same thing again and again. And I said, this is not for me. And I wanted a life which is different. And I saw an ad in the papers of the National Defense Academy. And I thought, that's for me. That's where I went. And that's where I never looked back. Life in the army is a fantastic life. There can be no, according to me, there can be no better life than in the army. Not to say that other professions are not good. All professions are good. Every one of us can do our bit to put India first. And but I personally feel that life in the army is an adventure or it is nothing.
Do you feel people who go into the army, they see a very different aspect of life? They see a lot more of places which a normal civilian cannot ever in their life. Is that true in any sense?
That's true. I've seen so many parts of India which I would never have seen. Also, we get opportunities to go abroad with the UN on ambassadorial. When we go abroad on various issues with parts of the UN or otherwise, as DAs, I think you can see the world. And the army is a very balanced occupation in the sense we play games, we go into mountaineering, we can do skydiving, we can do deep sea diving, we play every game in the world. There are so many opportunities, there's not enough time, we have to choose. So there's nothing like armed forces.
Right. So you mentioned one book, Bugles and a Tiger by John Masters. I think this was one of those books which inspired you to go into the army.
No, I read Beagles and a Tiger after I joined the army. But when I was in the IMA, no, I think you are right. Maybe I read it while I was in the Indian Military Academy. It's about Gurkhas, and they were Gurkha instructors at the IMA. It was a story written by a person called John Masters, and John Masters was from the 4th Gurkhas. And when I read that book and I saw the Gurkhas performing as instructors at the Indian Military Academy and the NDA, I said, this is the regiment I need to join. And if you look at it carefully, my book, Kartu Saab, is more or less based on John Masters' Bugles on a Tiger. Of course, it's quite different. With two different people, two different armies, but two different times. But there is a similarity.
Right. I want to talk about Gurkhas now because as a civilian, I've heard so much about Gurkhas. I've heard their war cry, Ayo Gurkhali. Um, and there's this, I have goosebumps right now when I'm speaking about Gurkhas. What makes them so fierce, so different? But in some interviews, you have also mentioned that they have a very soft heart. They're very polite as well. So what is this like two sides of the coins of Gurkhas?
Yeah, the Gurkha is a race which is a race by itself. The Gurkha from the hills, I'm not talking of the Gurkha from the plains, the Gurkhas from the hills of Nepal are they're wonderful fighters. They are fearless. Sam Manekshaw, also who's from my regiment, has said anybody who says he's not afraid is either a liar or a Gurkha, which means that the Gurkha is never afraid. I've seen the Gurkha fight in close quarters, right in 62, 65, 71. They are fearless. But they are very, very loyal. They're very disciplined. And they are very kind to old people, to children, to animals. But in war, they are a different breed altogether. They will slice off your neck without batting an eyelid and not be bothered about it. I'll give you a simple story. My battalion, 1st Battalion, the 5th Gurkha Rifles Frontier Force, they served in Italy. They fought their way up right from the toe of Italy right to the top. And we got a Victoria Cross at a battle, San Bartolo, near Casino. And after they captured the objective, they were in a house which had a cellar. And this commanding officer was working out the plans for the next attack. And somebody said, there are 9 German soldiers' dead bodies lying in the cellar. So Havildar was told, take them out and bury them. So he went down, and one of them was not dead. He was alive, pretending to be dead. So when he cried out in terror. So the Gurkha caught him by the head and was about to chop off his head with a khukri. When an officer said, Sir Bahadur, what are you doing? He said, sir, I've been told to bury 9 Germans. This one is not yet dead. So I'm going to make him dead so I can bury him. So that is the way a Gurkha thinks.
Right.
He thinks differently. But he is the most fierce in war and most polite in peace.
But why is this? I mean, is it the mountain air that makes them like this?
I don't know. When I joined the 1st Battalion, the 5th Gurkhas, after a year, we were in operational area. I asked for leave. They said, your leave is granted. Where do you want to go? I said, I want to go home to Bombay. They said, your leave is granted, but you're not going home. You're going to Nepal. And this boy will take you to his house. You'll stay with him for 3 days, and he'll pass you on to another and another and another till 2 months pass. So I lived with my families of my men. I came to know their mothers, their fathers, their grandfathers, their grandmothers, their children. I came to know their language, their dialects, their customs. I came to know the difficult lives they led. And I came to know the history of my unit because they were telling me stories about war in Iraq, war in Persia, war in Egypt, war in Sicily, war in Italy, war in Burma. Lots and lots of stories. So I came to know the Gurkha, and I was prepared to die for them, and they were prepared to die for me. That is the ethos of the Gurkha units and the Gurkha soldiers and the Gurkha ops. Our relations with our men is very, very close. If you read my story in the 1965 war, the story is titled Jum Bahadur. Jum Bahadur was my batman who accompanied me in battle and was killed by my side. And what happened subsequently? The Gurkhas are very loyal to their officers, and the officers are very loyal and care for their men. You need to understand what is the philosophy of the Indian Military Academy. We are called, in the NDA, we are cadets.
Right.
When we go to the IMA, we become gentlemen cadets.
Yeah.
When we become gentlemen cadets, we are expected to be truthful, to be loyal, never tell a lie, to be kind to people, to be respectful, and to be competent professionally. The Chetwood motto, in short, tells us, put your country first, put the men you command next, put yourself last. And we follow that. For instance, we never eat when we are out in operations or training. We never eat till we get a report the men have all eaten.
Oh.
Yeah, we get a report, everyone has had it, then we eat. Okay. We always put our men first. After I lost my leg, I got a telephone call from the commandant of the Artificial Limb Center to say that, we gave you a wooden leg, now we're getting a better metal leg. We'd like to give it to you. My answer automatically came. Please give it to me after all the JCOs, NCOs and men have got their legs, then I will take my leg. Because that is what we believe in, putting ourselves last. Men first, country first, men next, self last. If that is followed by the country, I think we'll have no problem whatsoever. They should
Right.
follow the Chetwood motto.
Do you remember any I don't know, a fear story about Gurkhas that you would like to tell people?
See, I was caught in an ambush.
Yeah. This was 65 war?
1965,
Yeah.
Punch was cut off. Pakistan had launched Operation Gibraltar, where 12,000 guerrillas came across, and they had cut the road between Jammu and Punch. Punch was cut off.
Right.
So I was asked to take a convoy to Punch. So while we were going, we saw these guerrillas trying to create an obstacle on the road. So we fired at them, they ran away. My company 2IC, Subadar Bhim Bahadur Rana, was wanting to chase them and destroy them. I said, Saab, our duty is to link up with Punch. We can't be diverted by chasing these people here and there. We'll go and link up with Punch and set the situation right. He was very, very disappointed, but we went. On the way back, we got into a mother of an ambush. This is where Bhim Bahadur Saab took out his khukri, decapitated another Pakistani rocket launcher, number one, and was decapitating the second one. His khukri got stuck in his skull, and he got filled with bullets.
Okay.
He died, but he had a smile on his face that I have done what I've always wanted to do. The Gurkha is like that. The mission comes first.
Hmm.
What is he trained to do comes first. Nothing else matters. In 71, we were 100 kilometers. I was in another battalion, the 4th battalion, the 5th Gurkhas. We fought in the Battle of Sylhet. By then, I was in staff college when the battalion fought 2 battles at Adgram and Ghazipur. At Adgram, we didn't have artillery, we didn't have armor. The CO decided to use the khukri. A surprise attack at midnight. We caught the enemy by surprise. We used the khukri. We decapitated, I don't know how many of these Pakistanis. Those who survived ran back and said, don't mess with the Gurkhas, you're likely to lose your head. That helped us in all the future battles. The Pakistani got scared. That don't mess with the Gurkhas. The flash of the khukri will sort us out. We fought at Adgram, we fought at Ghazipur, and then we were selected to go to capture Sylhet.
Right.
By this time, we had lost 3 officers killed, 2 JCOs killed, and 4 or 5, 23 Jawans who were wounded, badly wounded. Killed and many more wounded. So we had heavy casualties. The commanding officer was trying to reorganize the battalion, pushing officers here and there, making up the strengths. When the corps commander, General Sagat Singh, the best field commander this country has produced, told the CO, I want you to go and capture Sylhet. So the CO said, sir, is this the only battalion in the corps? Why only us? He said, you, I know, I trust you, I know you will deliver. No argument, go. Now, in war, you can protest to a point. After that, orders are orders. Now, when you go into an operation behind enemy lines, you can survive. The teaching is that you have to be reinforced within 48 hours because there will be many casualties, there will be many deaths, there will be many killed, there will be many wounded, there will not be medical supplies, there will be no food, there will be no water, there will be less ammunition. You have to be reinforced within 48 hours. We were not reinforced for 9 days and 9 nights. We fought for 9 days and 9 nights. We never realized what we were told. The brigade, which is holding Sylhet, has moved for the defense of Dhaka. There's nobody there.
This was 202 Brigade?
202 Brigade. I'm glad you remember. So 202 Brigade was holding Sylhet and was supposed to have moved to Dhaka. It was still there. It was reinforced by 313 Brigade on the evening that we landed. Plus there was the Sylhet garrison. We never knew. We fought them thinking that we did not know what was the opposition, but we fought. We fought fiercely. What helped us was that the Indian government's policy was we have nothing to hide. Let the foreign correspondents, war correspondents, go along with our troops. Let them eat with them, sleep with them, and record whatever is happening.
Right.
We have nothing to hide. One of these correspondents, the BBC correspondent,
BBC, right?
reported that a brigade of Gurkhas has landed at Sylhet. Now, a brigade means three
Yeah.
battalions, which means about 3,000 troops. We knew that Pakistan was listening. They were listening. We were also listening. So we pretended to be a brigade. However, after 3 or 4 days of fierce fighting, we came to understand that a Pakistani patrol had passed through one of our companies, gaps in the company. So we felt that if we were in their place, we were attacked with great force. So if we have to die, let us die collectively and give them a bloody nose. So we got the companies back and we kept on fighting. On the 15th of December, 2 Pakistani officers came with white flags saying they want to surrender. So our commanding officer, a very, very brave officer, Lieutenant Colonel Arun Harolekar, Mahavir Chakra, decided that we cannot accept their surrender because they might come to know how few we were on the ground and they might change their mind. We say, go back, tell them to go back, continue the fight. So they said, can we speak to the brigade commander? Now we realize that we have managed to bluff them. But he said, these are the brigade commander's orders. You come tomorrow at the same time, we will ask the higher headquarters. And we spoke to the brigade commander in Gurkhali and said, come please and take the surrender. He came the next day in a chopper. The Pakistani brigade commander asked him, who has come in this chopper? He said, I have come. He said, aren't you the brigade commander? He said, yes. Aren't you here? He said, no. Where are you? I'm 100 miles away. Then what is here? He said, 1 Gurkha battalion, that too, half a battalion. They could not believe what he was saying, what he said. There was much murmuring amongst them. It's not possible. We got the shock of our lives when 103 brigadiers, 2 full colonels, 170 officers, 290 JCs, and 8,000 troops surrendered to us. By this time, we were 352.
Right.
We had entered the war with 18 officers. In a 13-day war, we lost 4 killed, 7 wounded. Only 7 survived without being wounds or unwounded.
Wow.
So this is the character of the Gurkha soldier. He doesn't bother. He had no food. He had no water. He don't bother about. It was cold. We had no blankets. He doesn't bother. He just follows his orders. He follows his officers because he knows that his officers is right there in front of him, taking the maximum blunt, taking the maximum fire, and he will always be there to do his best.
So essentially, there were more than 8,000 Pakistanis.
Approximately 8,000.
And you were just 380.
We entered Sylhet with 384.
380.
After casualties, we were 352.
352. And you made them feel that there was a whole brigade over there.
Yes.
How did you do that, sir?
I think God helped us. But no,
Yeah.
I think it's the character of the Gurkha soldier, which you asked about, is that he's not afraid. We fought fiercely and convinced the Pakistanis that we were a bigger force than what we actually were.
I genuinely have goosebumps. I have tears in my eyes because just 352 making a force which is 8,000 plus, making them believe that there's a whole brigade over here. It takes a different kind of courage. It takes different kind of ferocity, I'm sure. And to a civilian, it is I don't know, I don't have words to be
See,
honest.
this is not the only example. There are many examples. There's a battle of Dograe where the Jats fought a magnificent 2 battles. They captured Dograe twice. First time, a battalion versus a battalion which is against all teaching. The second time, they captured more than a brigade with a battalion. So it is not only the Gurkhas. The Indian Army has tribes of various parts of the country. All are great fighters. The Sikhs, the Rajputs, the Punjabis, they're all outstanding soldiers. But they have to be led well. There is a saying, army of sheep led by a lion will do far better than an army of lions led by a sheep. So leadership is most important. And we have the right type of officers in the Indian Army.
So, what do you feel when you lose a man on the battlefield?
You lose a brother. For instance, I have great respect for Colonel Harolekar because he had brought up these officers, young officers, who died in front of him. It is not easy to stomach it, but the mission is more important. India is more important. And we accept that we have to make great sacrifices to achieve our aim. The civilian must also understand the same thing. The civilian, the politician, and the bureaucrat and the people of India have to realize that if we go to war, we will be not fighting on one front, we'll be fighting on three fronts. And therefore, we have to make the sacrifice. The budget for the armed defense needs to be increased. It is at a very low level today.
It is below 2%, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. So, unless we accept that we have to hope for the best, plan for the worst. We have to be ready when we are called to fight on three fronts. And nobody is going to help us. Neither America. America has driven Russia into the arms of China by the Ukraine war. So Russia today may not be against us.
But it won't be a friend as well.
It will be a friend, but it will not be able to help us. Whereas they were our main friend, and they helped us a great deal in 71, both in the UN as well as on the battlefield.
You took part in the 65 war, then the 71 war. At both the places, you were fighting against Pakistan. What kind of differences or similarity did you see in the opposing force when you were there on the battlefield in 65 versus in 71?
I'll give you a simple example. When the ceasefire took place, surrender took place in 71, we became responsible for this huge lot of Pakistanis, and the civilians of Bangladesh and the Mukti Bahini were baying for their blood. Now, we were responsible to protect them. So I walked across to them and I spoke to them, and I saw a truck full of blankets. Now, we had left our blankets behind. We were in the cold for so many days and nights. So there was a JCO there, Pakistani JCO. So I called him. I said, "Saab, ye kambal kiske liye hai?" He said, "Saab, जवानों के लिए है या स्टोर के लिए है?" He said, "साहब, जवानों के पास कंबल तो है, ये स्टोर के लिए है." "क्यों? आपके जवानों के पास कंबल नहीं है?" So I said, "साहब, we haven't come here to sleep. We have come here to destroy you. हम सोने के लिए नहीं आया, आपको बर्बाद करने के लिए आए हैं." So then he kept quiet. Then I said, "ये कंबल जो है, जो स्टोर वाली कंबल है, मेरे जवानों को दे सकते हैं?" I said, "I'll give you a receipt." Now they were our prisoners, and we had the right to take whatever we wanted. I said, "Will you give them to my men? I will give you a receipt." And then I said, after giving the blankets to my men, if there are any blankets left, can you give them to my officers? He was shocked. He said, "साहब, आप क्या बोलते हैं? आपके अफसर साहिबान के पास कंबल नहीं है?" I said, "साहब, अगर जवानों के पास कंबल नहीं है, अफसर साहिबान के पास कंबल कैसे हो सकते हैं? How can an officer have blankets, officers have blankets when the men don't have?" He came to attention and he saluted me. And he said, "जनाब, अगर हमारी फौज में भारत जैसे अफसर थे, ये दिन हम नहीं देखना था." In other words, if we had officers like the Indian Army, we would have not seen the disgrace of surrender of today. So that is the difference. The Pakistani officer is very feudal. He's far from his men. We are very close to our men.
Right. Why do you think this is the case? Why is Indian Army so systematic and they have this respect for each man? Whereas the Pakistani Army, it is the exact opposite. It is radicalized. Why is that? Is it the leadership?
Yes. Today, the Pakistani officers of the Pakistani Army They are actually the de facto rulers of the country. And they've never had it so good. They're very rich, and that spoils their ability to fight. In the 71 war, uh, over, I think, 80,000 men, women and girls were raped. And that order, it was accepted by the Pakistan Army. The officers were involved in the rape. So how can such an army fight? It's got no moral values, it's got no ethos, it's got no ethics. How can they fight? Sam said before, when talking to the troops, he said, whenever you are tempted to do something wrong, put your hands in your pockets and think of Sam. So he told us, don't do anything which will bring the army into shame. And we followed that.
Right. What is your first memory of Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, sir?
Sam Manekshaw is my regiment.
Yeah.
When I got my Sena medal for gallantry and at the parade, he was Western Army commander. And I asked, can we have a photograph together, sir? All the Gurkhas. So it's in my book, Kartu Sahab.
Yeah.
So he said, sure. I said, sir, some advice. So he said, son, you started well. Keep on at it. Follow the following 4 rules. Do what you love. Love what you do. Never be afraid. Never give up. That was Sam.
Beautiful. Were there conversations within your men and you or your friends in the army when the whole 71 war happened? Just before that, the conversation which Sam Manekshaw had with Indira Gandhi. Now that the film is out, everyone knows and everyone is talking about it. But what was your reaction? What were your conversations at that time?
At that time, we had no knowledge whatsoever of what was going on in Delhi. We only knew what was happening on the ground. We only knew this was our mission. This is what we got to do, and do it well, and make sure that there is no failure. That is the duty of a soldier. He doesn't look at politics. He doesn't look at what's happening in Delhi. He is only concerned with his battalion, his task, and that the task has to be done. It is to be done in the proper manner. It is to be done in the correct attitude. And we have to be magnanimous in war and respectful in peace.
Right. But did you feel courageous or safe because there was someone like Sam Manekshaw who was dealing between you and the politicians?
See, it is not only Sam. We've always had good leaders at the top. And Sam was, of course, extraordinary, but all our leaders at the top have been good.
Right.
We never had a problem. We have never had a feeling that we have not been properly led. The Indian Army has always been properly led, and it will always be properly led. But we should have minimum interference from the politicians and the bureaucrats. In 1971 war, there was synergy between the armed forces and the politician and the bureaucrats. That's why we won that war. But when the war was over and we had to go to the negotiating table, the army was kept out. And that is why what we won on the battlefield, we lost at the negotiating table. Whereas we gave back 93,000 prisoners, we are unable to get 54 of our prisoners, which are still languishing in Pakistani jails. Why was the army kept out? It's never happened in any war in the world. The reason, I think, is the politician felt that the army is now the armed forces have won a wonderful victory. They may not get swollen-headed. They might get too big for their shoes. Keep them away. That is the attitude we think is what the politician looks at the army with jaundiced eyes.
Because what was happening in Pakistan? Because of that?
No. Maybe I don't know what motivates the politician to think that the army is going to take over. It's a stupid thought, because the army doesn't believe in that. The army believes that we are to do what the country wants us to do, and it's impossible. India is a country which is impossible to govern by any military. But the politician and the bureaucrat mainly uses this fear to keep the army down. Why do you want to keep the army down? If you keep the army down, it will remain down. We want an army to be thinking ahead, training, strong, loyal.
Do you think, I mean, whatever the army wins on the battlefield, India always loses that on the political table? Because this happened with Haji Pir as well, right?
No, no, no. You have to understand. Haji Pir was given back because there was a reason. The reason was that Pakistan had reached up to within 12 kilometers of Aknur. If Aknur fell, Jammu was in danger. The route to uh, Kargil, the route to Ladakh, the route to Valley would be cut off. So if we didn't give Haji Pir back, they would have remained there. To remove them, we had to exchange. So Haji Pir had to be given back. It had to be given back. We had no option.
And what about the 1972 Simla Agreement? Because again, a lot of people say that the Kashmir issue could have been resolved over there, but it was a political failure. We couldn't do that.
This again is a political question. I am unable to answer, but I don't think that the problem could have been solved because Pakistan is whatever it is, it cannot change. Uh, I don't think just because we had won the war and had 93,000 prisoners that we could have uh, taken POK back or even accepted that the present line of control would become the international boundary. It is difficult to say. I don't think it would have worked. Pakistan is what it is. They can never change.
Right. So, for example, like Sam Manekshaw, he worked with a lot of people who, when the 71 war happened, the Pakistani forces, he sort of was friends with their leaders pre-partition. Now, when the partition happened, um, what was the major differentiation between both the nations and both the armies, that Indian army, it detached itself from the politics, whereas Pakistani army, it got very close to the political leadership, very close to the political networks? What is that one thing which differentiated over here?
I think basically the difference lies in Islamization of the Pakistani army. And the Indian army is quite different. The Indian army is apolitical. It does not believe in interfering in politics. It believes only in doing its job and protecting the nation from outside aggression and internal dissent. We do what we are told, and that is why India is stable and Pakistan is not.
When we talk about the 71 war, you played a major role over there. Of course talked about the whole story, how 8,000 plus men surrendered over there to you.
That is only a small, there's only one battle.
Yeah.
We fought so many battles.
Yeah, there were 93,000 prisoners.
Yeah.
So at one point where India was a deciding factor in creating a nation. People say they cannot choose their neighbors, but we created our neighbor. And today it has come a full circle again, wherein what is happening in Bangladesh is known by everyone now. What are your opinions, your thoughts on what is happening exactly over there now?
My thoughts, I was asked this question some time ago, and I said, as an army officer, I'm very positive. I'm sure things will get sorted out and they will come to their senses. But since then, I've seen the situation has gone much worse. So I have no idea as to what is going to happen, but I am filled with a great sense of disappointment because we did so much, we sacrificed so much to liberate East Pakistan. A new country was born, we were friends. Things have changed. I'm still hopeful, but deeply disappointed.
Right. Because when Bangladesh was created, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he took over the power. He was looked at as the father of the nation back then. Now, the people of Bangladesh, they are burning down his effigies. They are pulling down his statues. And his daughter, Sheikh Hasina, she had to flee the country. And everything that India worked towards in East Pakistan, created Bangladesh, that has gone back to zero. I don't know what the exact words are, but then it's a turmoil. Back then, it was a problem between Muslims versus Muslims. Now it's a problem between Muslims versus the minorities of Bangladesh, which are Hindus majorly. Do you think if time comes, the Indian army can enter back into Bangladesh to safeguard our interests over there?
No, I don't think Indian Army will do that. Our country is, we don't believe in interfering in other countries.
But we did in 71, right?
No, that was because they sent 10 million refugees into
Right,
India.
right.
It was affecting us.
Right. But then that same situation could happen again now, because now Hindus are getting raped, they are being killed. It's a proper genocide that's happening. So if the Hindus of Bangladesh, they come over here, they try to enter Indian borders, then the situation would be the same.
I don't think I can answer that question because it's hypothetical. I hope it doesn't develop in such a situation develops. And I do believe India, whatever the provocation, does not believe in interfering in another country or taking offensive action or marching into another country unless the provocation is too severe. So I don't think such a situation will develop. I hope not. But India is a country which does not believe in attacking another country. What happened in 71 was quite different. I don't know, actually. I cannot answer this question.
So do you want to talk about the whole story? And I know a lot of people, lot of not, I mean, the whole nation considers you to be a hero, to be a legend. And I firsthand um, saw you talk about the whole incident wherein you cut off your leg. This was at Tata Literature Fest, wherein you spoke for few minutes when people were giving you a standing ovation, and you just said that I'm just a normal soldier, and you still say the same thing.
See, it's like this. When I was in the Artificial Limb Center, there were 500 amputees. 500 amputees. Who knows their stories? Why are you focusing only on me? I did not hack off my leg. My leg was hanging by flesh. It was disgusting to look at. I just had to sever it. I mean, there was no. It's, a lot of exaggeration has taken place. I don't think I did anything heroic. I just did something which was inescapable, which anyone would have done in my place.
So I don't know if I could have done that.
You would have to do it because you had no option.
But then I don't know if I could have taken that option.
Nobody can do that because it has not happened to you. No? It happened to me, so I know. I know that it was. I didn't do anything heroic. I did not hack it off. Or it's just that I had to get rid of something which is looking at disgusting. That's all. So I think I'm getting undue credit for something which was inescapable. I think anyone in my place would have done the same thing. And I think that I'm being given undue coverage, and the others who have had similar experiences are being not looked at. Everyone, every soldier who fought in that war is a hero.
Do you want to talk about how it happened?
Not really.
But then I really want to talk about one incident from that whole incident story, because you said that you were unable to thank Major Muhammad Bashir, who operated your leg. Now he is a Pakistani soldier. He was a doctor in the Pakistani Army, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's right. What happened was, during the Battle of Sylhet, Pakistani artillery had destroyed our MI room. An MI room is where a doctor attends to the wounded and the dying. That whole thing blew up. Luckily, the doctor was not there at that time. All the wounded were killed. Their bodies flying all over the place, on trees, on the ground. There was no medicine left. There was no instruments left. So when I got wounded, there was nothing. So the Pakistanis heard, they had surrendered by that time, and they heard that this had happened, and they offered to help. So my CEO said, Ian, I think you should, they offered to help, but I think you better go because we got nothing here. So I said, sir, I don't trust them. I don't want to be touched by a Pakistani doctor. He said, don't be a fool. So I said, okay, sir, under two conditions. I'll not take Pakistani blood, and I want you to be there to see that they don't cut off my good leg. He said, okay. I don't know. I don't actually, a very hazy memory of what happened that time. I don't remember anything after that. But I know from the documents later on that a Major Mohammad Bashir, Pakistani Medical Corps, operated on me. And I should be grateful, but I've never been able to say thank you because I don't interact with Pakistanis. So I hope through this interview, he will learn that I am grateful.
Yeah. But then this is something which I really wanted to ask you. At one hand, where the Indian army is fighting Pakistani army, they are also fighting you. And for both the armies, the opposition is the enemy. And at such a time, an enemy comes forward to help an enemy. What are these dynamics?
The dynamics is that when you are at war, you kill each other. And after war is over, we're back to square one. We're okay. We're human beings.
Does this happen often?
It always happens.
So when there's no war happening, what are the dynamics between the Indian soldier and the Pakistani soldier?
I ask you to please read the second last story of my book on the 65 war. The story starts with the 65 war, ends with the 71 war. It will answer your question.
Sure. So it is the story of two friends?
Yeah. It is a question of an Indian army officer and a Pakistani army officer who meet at Singapore airport. They are both going to attend a course, staff college course in Australia. What happens in Australia and what happens thereafter is the story. It will answer your question. Because, today, the Indian army and the Pakistani army both serve on UN missions. And we get along pretty well. Outside India, outside the subcontinent. Because, I don't know, the Pakistani army is a different beast. But the individuals, some of them are okay, some of them are horrible. That, I suppose, applies to all human beings. You have good, the bad, and the indifferent. I don't know, but war is something which no soldier looks forward to. War is what you see in the media is quite different. War is not something we look forward to. But once we are at war, then there's no looking back. The only answer is victory in war, and we'll go and do all that is possible to ensure, make any sacrifice to ensure that we place India first, country first, and that victory in war is our aim. That's all.
Right. What does a battlefield look like?
What do you mean?
I mean, I because the battlefield I have seen is only through movies. So I want to understand what is exactly happening on a battlefield.
Okay. I'm also into poems.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately didn't bring a book for you. I'd have brought it, I'd have given it to you. I can send it to you.
Sure, sir.
There is a poem called Silence. There's a poem called Requiem. There's a poem called Soldier. These poems will explain what the battlefield looks like, what happens in war, what happens before war, how does the soldier think before battle, during battle, after battle. All these poems convey these thoughts. So I hope to write that book and publish it by middle of next year. It's called The Marigold, Book of War Poems. Why marigold? Because we have been saddled with the poppy, which is a flower which has been handed over to us as a flower to commemorate India's war dead, handed down to us by the British. We have our own flower. We have fought 5 wars with independence. Why should we use the poppy? The poppy is germane, it's part of the $1 million industry of drug manufacturing, heroin. Why should we use the poppy as a flower of remembrance for our war dead? We have our own flower, the marigold, which we use from birth to death. Every occasion, the marigold is being used. We should have the marigold as our flower of remembrance. Why are people not listening?
Makes sense. But then I really wanted to understand, because when the battle is happening, as you said, the soldier, he's thinking something else before going into the battle. While the battle is going on, he's thinking something else. After the battle, he's thinking something else. When your hand is on the gun, when your finger is on the trigger, and in front of you there's an enemy, but at the end of the day, if we look at all of this from a bird's eye view, spiritually, very spiritually, these are two human beings, and you are ready to just, with one trigger, with one finger, ready to kill each other. So what are those instincts, what are the thoughts behind that whole act?
When we undergo training, we are taught either kill or be killed. Kill without fear, without remorse, without pity, because that's what you are trained to do. Victory can only come when you harden your heart, steel your heart against all other thoughts of mercy or things like that. You have to kill or be killed. Once the enemy surrenders, India is a country which believes in the Geneva Convention, and we treat the prisoner with respect. That's it. We are a country, we are soldiers belonging to a country which has values. Pakistan is not like that. Pakistan believes in torture, killing, maiming. Unfortunately, it's very unfortunate, but it's true.
Do you, I don't know if this is a right question to ask or not, but do you understand death better now that you have seen so many of your own men die on battlefield, so many enemies die in front of you? Do you understand death better?
I'll put it in a different way. The soldier is a person who understands the gift of life more than anyone else, because he lives in the shadow of death. Every time a battle is over, he thanks God that he's alive. After any war is over, he thanks that he's alive. So it's not a question of death, it's a question of life. Life is a gift. It must be accepted, it must be honored, and we must live according to what we have been taught, the values of India, the values of our religion, the value of Hinduism is a way of life. It doesn't believe in killing others, it believes in nurturing others. So the soldier believes in life, not in death. Death is an outcome which is acceptable.
So have you ever come across any Chinese soldier?
I have not met with a Chinese soldier on the battlefield, but I know that we captured a number of Chinese soldiers in 1962. And what happened in Galwan recently. But I have no experience of face-to-face interaction with a Chinese soldier. No, I don't have.
Okay. Because I've heard this in the army circles or in the intellectual circles who talk about defense. And I've heard this, that when you compare both the armies, maybe China might be technologically ahead of us. But then when you compare man to man, Indian army is far stronger than the Chinese army.
That's true. You see, the point is this. When a country becomes too soft, too luxurious, you may have the highest technology in the world. But when it comes face to face, this Indian soldier is better than any other soldier in the world. Thank God for that, and don't let us destroy it by stupid schemes like Agnipath.
But when we compare both the armies, the Chinese army and the Indian army, with all the technological advancements that they have, and unfortunately we don't even now, do you think when the day comes and when we are in a situation like 62 again, how will both the armies compare? Will we be able to fight them off
Of course,
without the technological advancements?
whatever.
Okay. It's just the willpower that
Yes,
makes all the difference.
The Indian soldier and his desire to fight for his country is so strong. The leadership is so good that there will be no problem. The
Right.
issue is that the enemy, whoever it is, must realize that they will have to pay an unacceptable price if they interfere with us. We will make sure that they pay that unacceptable price,
Right.
however good they may be technologically. But we cannot be complacent. We need to understand that we need to better ourselves technologically so that the gap between us and China is narrowed down.
Right. Okay. So
But it's the man behind the gun which matters. And I do feel that we are better.
okay. Okay. So if I had to ask you this, let's say in next 50 years, or not even 50, in the next 10 years, who do you think is a bigger enemy for us, China or Pakistan?
China.
So Pakistan is just a toy with which China plays.
Yes.
And why is China our biggest enemy? Just geopolitical intentions?
Because of the ideology,
Hmm.
they've taken over Tibet, which was not theirs, but they claim that it was theirs.
Yeah.
They claim parts of India, which they say belongs to Tibet,
Right.
which we won't allow. So they are a dangerous country because they believe, Mao says, he believes in the power of the gun. India does not believe in the power of the gun. India believes in cooperation, peaceful answers to difficult solutions. So we are totally different from China.
Right.
And if you look at Durga Puja, the Mahabharata, etc., and you come to, I think you can understand that good will always prevail ultimately. So I think India will always prevail because we have a just cause to fight for.
Right. So I ask this one question whenever I come across someone who whose birth date is, let's say, pre partition or pre independence, which is, over the years you have seen so many prime ministers in the office. Who do you think was the best amongst them? I don't want to put you on a spot, but this is just something I ask because as a young person, I need to have that perspective.
I don't think we can compare.
Yeah.
Each one is different.
Whom
Ne-
did you like the most?
Frankly, I don't like any politician. I don't. But the point is that it is a necessity that we have a good leader, and we respect the politician for whatever he does. Whatever he also has a difficult task, but trying to compare one with another, I don't think is the right answer. And take Pandit Nehru, he did a lot of good, but he also made many mistakes. The China War, practically, you can say that he was largely instrumental in what happened.
Yeah, you've written about this in your book.
Yeah. So it is difficult to be judgmental. We should not be judgmental. We should understand that these people took decisions based on circumstances which are not known to us. And they also, in their own way, did whatever they thought was right for the country. Maybe they made mistakes, but I would not like to compare one prime minister with another.
Fair enough. Yes.
So I think we leave it at that.
Sure, sure. Okay. So one last thing which I want to speak about with you in this podcast, and this is something which will motivate a lot of people, and it should be taken as an inspiration. When you lost your leg, and after that you went through a whole process, a whole journey, and then you were given the responsibility of battalion of 5th Brigade. Um, how did you cope up with losing your leg? Did you ever regret?
Okay. This question was asked to me by a reporter some years ago. The question was, would you, if you had to live your life again, Would you join the army after what happened to you? And would you like to have your leg back? I said, irrespective of how many lives I would lead in the future, if I had to, I will always join the army again and again and again, because the life in the armed forces and the army in particular is incomparable with any other profession, I believe. As far as getting my leg back is concerned, no, I wouldn't want my leg back. I am what I am today because I lost my leg in war. And I think I've become a better person after losing my leg. I had various challenges, various opportunities, and they helped me to become a better officer, a better leader, a better human being. And I always had the support of my wife, who has supported me through thick and thin. And I think she will agree with me in some ways because 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 uh, no one can be closer to a soldier than his wife or his batman. They know you completely through and through. So I have no regrets whatsoever.
But how did you cope with everything? I mean, losing your leg. I'm sure your family must have felt something. You must have felt something at the start, and still you went on to do so much in your life. How did you deal with all of that? And how did you bring that courage in yourself to do so much?
I don't consider myself to be exceptional. There are all of us are the same. Uh, there may be some differences, but when I was given the opportunity to leave the army and get many facilities, like free education, health, ye, wo, वगैरह, gas connections, I had not joined the army for money. I had not joined the army for a better, more comfortable life. I had joined the army for a way of life. And having joined the Gurkhas, I wanted to get back to them and do whatever possible. At that time, I did not know what I would do, how I would do it. God has been with me. I have worked hard. I kept myself physically fit. And when the tests came, I succeeded. So I am very proud of the fact that it is because of me that battle casualties today can get promoted up to the rank of chief. I opened the door for promotion to battle casualties by my own experience, my own battles within the armed forces. The great thing about the Indian Army is that they listened. They listened to what I did. They accepted what I could do. They accepted that a war disabled soldier, if he has the courage and the guts to continue, uh, you should give him an opportunity to prove himself. They gave me that opportunity, and I proved myself. And it helped a lot of others too. That's something I'm proud of. So I'm not proud about cutting off my leg. It's something which is, I don't look at. I'm proud of the fact that I opened up promotion for the battle casualty in the Indian Army.
So I asked this question because a lot of civilians, when something like this happens with them, let's say if someone is involved in a road accident or any kind of accident for that matter, and they lose a leg or a hand or their eyesight, they become absolutely demotivated. Whereas you never lost that motivation to do better in life. So,
Let us consider a couple of things. Firstly, uh, loss of a leg below the knee is not that problematic. So losing your sight is something much worse. But there have been officers of the Indian Army today who have lost their sight and have done great things. Their story needs to be told also, no?
I'm sure, yes,
So the point is this, that if you believe in God, and India is a God fearing country, it's a spiritual country, all of us believe in some God.
sure.
That is one great help. Secondly, you got to marry well. You got to have a partner who supports you. I have a partner who supported me through thick and thin, even to today. And secondly, your faith in yourself, your faith in God, your faith in yourself, your faith in your country, that they will support you, is what helped me throughout. There is a poem I've written, it's called Follow Me. It's the song of the infantry. All this is there in that. What makes us do what we do uh, without self pity. Self pity is the worst enemy of any human being. We need to look at what we can do and not what we can't do.
Yes.
And the army supported me, which is a great thing. They accepted the fact that I could do things which they thought I couldn't do. And they allowed me to prove myself. They gave me the opportunity to prove myself. And they changed their decision, which is not easy. But they did it. That's how great the Indian Army is. It accepts, they look at facts, they accept things. And that's why the soldier is what does what he does. Because he's backed by the army, he's backed by the country. That's why we win.
Right.
It's a win-win situation.
Very well put, sir.
Thank you.
So one last question,
Oh,
which
it's a many.
I just cannot stop asking you questions because this is let me tell you this. For me, this podcast is not just a place where I have conversations. This is the age-old pratha of India, which is the Guru Shishya Parampara for me. So I can never stop asking questions to my guest, and I promise this will be the last one. When we take out the army aspect or everything that we have done in life and we talk on just human to human level, in your 88 years of life, what have you learned about life, and what are the things which actually make you happy or in general make people happy? Because when I look people of my age around me, everyone is stressed. Even I am stressed right now that maybe whenever we put out a video, if it doesn't do well, that's a kind of stress. If I don't get enough money in my life, that's a different kind of stress. If I don't get that home, if I'm unable to marry a good person, that is different kind of stress. So everyone is in stress. How do you stay happy? How do you live your life?
Number one, believe in God. Whatever your faith is, there is somebody superior in this world, the creator, the protector, the destroyer, whatever. He is there. Believe in him. Believe in yourself. Believe that there's no such thing as failure. A failure is to be taken in the right spirit. It is a success. It is a step towards success. There's something you learn that this is not good. You have to do something else. Believe that everything is not a challenge, it is an opportunity. Believe that every little success that you get, however small it is going to give you more confidence, going to empower you. Believe in yourself, believe in God, believe in your country, and nothing can hold you back. There are problems, no doubt, but if you have faith in God and faith in yourself and faith in the country which supports you, then I don't think there is a problem. And be an optimist.
That is the key thing.
And see, you talked about marriage. My advice to you is don't look at wealth, don't look at beauty, look at character. Character is most important. You may have different views, may have different characters, but if you believe that the person has values, only then will you be able to move on happily. And contentment is what is important. Greed for power, greed for wealth are the common denominators of lack of understanding. And contentment is very important. You have to be content with what you have. And be happy with every little success that you make. It will help you to meet bigger challenges and meet with greater success. Believe in yourself. And believe that every problem has a solution. You have to find that solution.
Thank you so much, sir, for this conversation.
I don't know. You ask me questions that are very philosophical, but I don't know whether I'm the right person to answer. But this
So
is what I think.
you are the best person to answer these questions, because everything that you have done in life, I know you won't accept it, but then all of the Indians, millions of Indians, they look at you as their inspiration. They look up to your story and they do good things in life because of your story. So I am just thankful to you that you did this conversation, and thankful to you for your service to the nation, sir. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir.
God bless India.
Yes.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.